county.
You got everybody's brother there. Well, they arrested her. They thought she was under the influence because I guess she was very bad teen.
She was probably
Yeah. And so I'm kind of going. That's why I always tell her she drives.
Oh, okay.
At our dock truck. I said, you need all the state defenses. You don't know that she was. Oh, I know she was so silly on drugs. Did they cross that center line? I said, no.
she on 319 or something.
She goes all the way to the Springs.
We quit riding down 319 because it's just too dangerous. Because I knew people I had a couple of people out, you know, that I know people that lived there. I said, man, I wouldn't. Because I drove back from the job. Me and old boy Evan did. There was a car upside down in somebody's front yard. It was turned upside down.
That's like that state police, they're starting to get tough. It's like all this month until the 31st, they are after speeders now. That's what they're at.
Racers too.
Yeah.
They're clamping down on it.
They said statewide, all working together, slow it down.
You know, I mean, you can go a steady speed, but man, people are just, you know, they get reckless. Because I watched the deal on Autobahn documentary. I knew a friend of mine travels a lot. He's been over there a lot of times. He says, man, one thing you don't do on Autobahn, there's parts where there's no speed limit, but there's three things you don't do.
All right, it's 6:30 in the evening on July 17th. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Mr. Hall, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Father God, we thank you for these who come each month to give of their time throughout the month to serve our citizens. And we just pray, Lord, that you'd give them wisdom and discernment of how to make decisions this evening. We thank you for the different department heads and leaders that work tirelessly for our community. And we just pray that you would continue to keep those who serve in difficult situations and dangerous situations safe and protect them. And we thank you for this city. Thank you for the opportunity to be a part of it. And Lord, we just pray that you be the center of our hope and our light as we walk together in our community. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Hall,
Present.
Councilmember Chapman,
Here.
Councilmember McMinn. Here. Councilmember Hefner. Here. Councilmember Brooke.
Here.
And Councilmember Rubel.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. First on the agenda is the review and approval of the June 19th City Council meetings, meeting minutes. I would entertain a motion to approve as presented.
Motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is department reports provided to you. I entertain a motion to approve as presented.
Motion.
We have a motion
Second.
and we have a second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
The street department showed that they had cleaned up 6, I don't know how they measured their units, but they put 6 trees, limbs, something like that. But we know last month we had all kinds of cleanup.
Well, in my mayor's report later on,
Okay.
I'll tell you that we estimate right now that they have picked up 731 tons
That's what I figured.
of yard debris at 122 locations.
I just wasn't sure why the report said 6.
Well, that's probably what they did at that moment when they provided the report.
They're probably reporting.
But yeah, and it's not
I just-
final.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, because I knew we had probably done quite a bit, but I wanted to make sure.
Correct.
Yeah.
With the county judge declared the county a disaster area, which allowed us to start collecting and burning in a particular location with Adams' approval. And then the state governor has declared this county and other counties as disaster, which opens up reimbursements for us. So we have a ton of paperwork to get done, to seek reimbursement, and it's about 33% of what you spent out. So, but if we can get 33% of whatever, then great. Anyway, any further questions on financials or reports? Hearing none, entertain, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Planning Commission report, Mr. Peters.
Good morning, council. Good
morning.
Or good afternoon, I mean. Council members and the mayor, I'm glad to be here. We have had a busy meeting last month, and the first thing that we did in our meeting is we elected a new vice chair. And so now we actually have some succession going on, and that is Erin Mixon. She's agreed to be able to be vice chair of the Planning Commission. And I think she'll make an excellent vice chair and was a good selection. We also had, under new business, Mayor Gastineau made a couple of presentations to us. One of the presentations was dealing with the need to deal with the short-term rentals, and particularly as we come up with the solar eclipse coming up and all that next year, we'll probably see more activity for all those kinds of things. And the second thing that we brought up, I don't know if I don't see it in the minutes, but I do know that we did talk about crypto during that time.
We just discussed it.
Just a discussion about crypto and how we
Crypto
might
mining.
take a look at how that mining operation goes and how it could impact the community. We haven't done anything with it yet, but we're looking at an ordinance that we can present to you in the future
Well,
too.
actually, there's a noise ordinance presented to him tonight for
Right.
action.
Oh, okay. Good for you.
It doesn't involve zoning or subdivision, but it does involve noise, and I'll explain that, but.
Okay. And then we also talked about an annexation whereby basically we are on all four sides of a piece of property, which gives us the authority to be able to annex that property. We didn't need to have any kind of impact, but it was for informational purposes for us, so that's what we ended up doing.
And we had a public hearing just before this
And
meeting.
that,
Before that?
well, we're going to get there with the public hearings, yes. And on top of that, then after that, it was Stanley Brown at 171 2nd Street. He presented us with a site plan for his new company, and that is currently Zone C1, which is mixed use, so he has the ability, he's gotten his permits, done everything. It's going to be a small business. He's looking to try to grow it, maybe have a couple of other small businesses in that same area, but the traffic issue is going to be light. It's mostly parking, and he has it all in the back, and the site plan looks good. Gary Meadows said he's working with him to ensure that everything is done. The next thing that we discussed was the Aaron Robinson, who is with Bond Engineering, was a consultant, and we have a request again to be able to rezone the property between Ferguson, Old 38, and the United Methodist Church from R1 to C2, which is highway commercial. And that is that was presented to us. There were a few questions, but most of it was just letting us know that this was coming, and they were requesting a public hearing for that also. The mayor then also went on to talk about, let's see what else he had to say here. Whoops.
The UDO?
Yes, the UDO. Thank you. I hit a button and it went away. And the UDO, we are getting close to finalizing with everything. And I know the mayor said that he hopes that maybe by the end next month, maybe, that we'll be able to have something moving in that direction, and that we will probably have several public hearings that will occur. The final things that we dealt with is we established the public hearings. We'll have 2 public hearings next Monday. And the first one will start at 6 o'clock, and that is going to be dealing with the rezoning for that property between Old South 38 and also Ferguson and the church. And the second one will be dealing with the enclave that we're going to annex.
No, sir. Second one's going to be short-term rental.
Oh, short-term rentals, that's
The
right.
Enclave, we just had.
Okay,
We just
well,
had
we'll
that
make a
tonight.
correction on the notes then
Okay.
too. Okay, we'll do that too. But anyhow, that is pretty much where we're at with the Planning Commission. Our next meeting will start at 6 p.m. with public hearings, and then we will have our normal meeting at 7.
And I'll just let you know that I did provide MetroPlan with our updated UDO comments
good.
last week. And so they said they'd be working on this week to get it adjusted and sent back to us.
And then you made me remind me too that the mayor and I had discussion. He helped. We've now kind of branded our zoning signs. And so when you see a big blue Z in your backyard or alongside of you, that means someone has requested that piece of property is to be rezoned. And we had a discussion about it because I think I went and visited with the people in Cabot, and the idea is that it's hard to differentiate between a roofing company sign, somebody that's for sale sign when you're driving by it a long time. So we thought by branding the Z and letting everybody know that, it's going to at least allow the public to see that something is going on in their neighborhood. And I just wanted to thank the mayor for that and getting it taken care of for us. And that's all I really have.
I will also let you know that Erin Mixon is the new vice chair, like you said, but she's also now employed by the city of Cabot
Yes.
in their planning section.
Yes.
Which she and I talked, and the mayor talked about it. Is that a conflict? And it's not. But it's also very good learning for us because she'll, what she learns down there, she can help with our planning commission.
Absolutely, and I've had several conversations with Aaron, for sure. And that's all I have unless you all have any questions.
Any comments from Mr. Peters?
What about the meeting earlier?
What was the question?
Oh, you said you were going to talk about the meeting earlier?
We had a
Public meeting?
public hearing right before this meeting.
Yes.
He wasn't here, but we had a public meeting on the enclave annexation. There was no opposition.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And that's pretty much what we have.
I have a question about the rezone signs.
Yes, sir.
Are we going to increase the size of those?
They are not as big as we probably would like to have them, but we can have that discussion even more later on. One good thing about those signs, even with the wind, they do stand. I'm not sure that a lot of things will stand. You've seen what happens to signage out there, whether it was in Austin or whatever. Even Ward had a few signs get blown down over the period of time, but it's something we can consider. I mean, I'm looking for any more suggestions that we can bring more transparency to our community. I think that's always important so they know what we're doing. It's not a secret. We're just trying to conduct business like everybody else is trying to do. But if you have some suggestions, Charles, you just tell me what it is and we'll do our best to see if we can accommodate along with the mayor and the city council.
We did do a couple signs with some additional information. One of them was just an informational sign, and then the big Z sign we moved it up to a standard yard sale size. The previous ones were much smaller than that.
Right.
So we have increased the size of it. As on a highway, they may not be visible right away. The big Z is going to help catch your eye, and you may want to go back and see what it said. In a neighborhood, those are fine.
Yes, and the Z, I think once the community starts to understand our branding, because most people, we had conversations about KFC. I mean, everything tends to get branded. And so what we're looking at is how do we brand our zoning? And that's what we did. And if we need to have them bigger, I guess y'all can have that discussion. And if not, we'll go with the blue Z signs and go from there. Cabot's got red. We went blue since Ward is blue and gold. I thought that would be a good color for us to be able to do for branding too.
Make them taller so the grass grows.
And that's all I have.
Or get code enforcement to get them that grass cut. All right, any further comments or questions to Mr. Peters? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve his report as presented.
Motion.
Second? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Not opposed? Thank you, Mr. Peters.
Thank you.
Moving forward with old business, ordinance 2023-13. Would you read the title, please?
An ordinance to establish a curfew for minors, to repeal and replace City of Ward ordinances C-2-92, WP-2-93, and O-4-98, to establish penalties, declaring an emergency, and for other purposes.
Chief, would you come forward, please? Should ask you to come forward as they were reading it, but I didn't. This is the second reading on this, and I was going to give the chief an opportunity. We brought this up and consolidated all these different ordinances, to get them all consolidated into something, one ordinance instead of four. And Chief, go ahead and if you want, explain what our reasoning is behind this.
Well, it was just, with four separate ones, it was confusing. But school's out, as you all know, the car break-ins go up, kids wander in the neighborhoods all hours of the night. We just needed to consolidate it, make it concise, one ordinance, so the guys would know what to enforce. Instead of back and forth, and then plus to establish some penalties. As we all know, you've got some parents out there that's just, go do what you want to, leave me alone. Unfortunately,
And
that
this
we have to
ordinance,
deal with.
this ordinance establishes penalties not only on the minor potential, but also the parent.
Yes.
There was some question last meeting about what Cabot, BB, whatever it does, and we'll just go over this, and I'll let you know, and then we can discussion about that. As it's written in our ordinance, it's 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. Friday and Saturday, and Sunday before national holiday, or any day before national holiday. Just for reference, Cabot, Sunday through Thursday, is 10 p. to 5 a, exactly as ours. Friday and Saturday is 12 midnight to 5 a, so an hour later. BB is Sunday through Thursday is 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. because they shift a complete hour, and then 12 midnight to 6 a.m. Austin is 10 p. to 6 a, Sunday through Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday is 11 p. to 6 a. So all cities have different. We're right there with others. Any discussion?
I do, I do. Is there any way like that, I feel like that the problem of this is really not necessarily kids driving through or driving from work or driving from school. It's really like people on foot, right? Like pedestrians. Is there some way to word it that way? I told them this the last time. My son got stopped several times, and when I called him afterwards, he said, actually, Mom, I got stopped 5 times. And never got a ticket or anything else, but he was coming from work or coming from practices or things like that after in Cabot and in Austin and Ward. And so I'm just wondering, now that they have extended the age to where you can work longer, because now they actually can work till 11 o'clock.
Well, and maybe we need to change ours to 11 to accommodate that.
Well, and
So-
to address him being stopped, he was never ticketed.
I know, I just said that it's kind of one of those things though, where it's like you're being harassed because you're just driving through town and you look young and you have a young car. But I'm just
Some of
saying,
them-
I think that majority of your focus though is like you said, the,
Well, not necessarily, because I have some of them driving from Jacksonville, coming up here to get into cars.
We do that.
If we take away the ability to stop a car to check them, then you're just giving them a green light to keep going. And the last 2 times we've had the majority of the car break-ins, it was traced back to Jacksonville.
And they were juveniles too.
Yes, they were juveniles, underage. That's my only concern with taking away the ability to stop a car to check them.
Officer discretion, every time. Any other comments?
I would like to see the hours changed to midnight, because I know that's my curfew. No, this is weekends, Fridays and Saturdays.
sorry.
I agree with midnight. Weekend before holiday, all that jazz, I think midnight.
So midnight to 5 a.m.?
But you said they work till 11 now?
Because if they
Yeah,
can work till
the new-
11, that gives them an hour to get home, or,
Okay, but during, right, doesn't matter about it.
Here's what, the reason I say gives them an hour is because they work, say, on Friday night, they work till 11, all their buddies are out hanging around, you know, pretty good chance they're gonna stop by and visit. And if you get it till midnight, it gives them, there's a little leeway there, so I'd say midnight.
So your comments are Friday and Saturday and Sunday for, or whatever, day for a holiday, 12 midnight,
12 midnight to 5 a.m.
5 a.m. Have a motion to change that?
Yeah. Second.
So we have a motion, we have a second. To change the Friday, Saturday, and any day for a national holiday to 12 midnight to 5 a.m. Is that correct? All right, roll call, please, on that.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Chapman,
Yes.
Councilmember McMahon,
Yes.
Councilmember Hefner,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooke,
No.
and Councilmember Rubel.
Yes.
Motion carries, we'll make a change to that, should this go forward. Any changes to Sunday to Thursday at 10 p.m. to 5 a.m.?
Well, that's what I was asking, is that they are now allowed to work till 10?
You also got to remember this ordinance allows for the transfer unit from going to and from work.
The ordinance
That's a defensive, that's clearly in the ordinance.
Right, but if it said 11, that would avoid them getting stopped between 10 and 11 while they're going home.
Potentially, but again, it's mainly those juveniles who are out on foot, is what this mainly is for, in reality.
Or the ones in
But,
cars
I mean-
coming from Jacksonville.
Yeah. Up to y'all, what do you want to do? 10A, or 10P to 5A falls in line with, majority of the other cities around us.
I'm literally just asking the question. When you're documenting a lot of these break-ins, what times are these happening? Are they happening before 10 o'clock? Are they happening
No, it's
before midnight? Or are they happening?
for best we can determine, majority of the time, it's from about 11 till 3 in the morning.
And if we ever get our license plate reader cameras, that'll help.
If is the key word.
I'll make a phone call.
I think I'd like to see the Sunday through Thursday, 11 p.m. to 5 a.m.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to go to 11 to 5.
What's the purpose of 5 o'clock?
Arbitrary number.
Most of them are asleep.
That's Mr. Chapman.
Mainly 5, 'cause I know that it's, you got things in here for work and school, but, for example, my son, he goes early in the morning to run, because he's in cross country, and just 5 a.m. just seems
I
like.
know another example, say we live in rural Arkansas, 5 a.m., you're hunting and fishing all through the
Yeah.
It's very true.
But you're also going with somebody, you're usually going with the dorm, stuff like that.
Not necessarily, I spent my whole teenage years going with buddies.
Or your girlfriend.
Yeah, my son, he's the one that wants to run. If he wants to get up that early, I'm gonna allow him, but I'm not gonna go with him, so.
Don't blame you. All right, we have a motion, and I think, Robin, did you second that?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion second to change it to 11 to 5 a.m. for Sunday through Thursday. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Chapman,
Yes.
Councilmember McMahon,
Yes.
Councilmember Hefner,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooke,
No.
Councilmember Rubel,
Yes.
and Councilmember Hall.
Yes.
Motion carries, we'll change it to 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. Hey, council, is there any other changes to the ordinance as it is presented to you? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 2023-13.
I make that motion.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember McMahon,
Yes.
Councilmember Hefner,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooke,
No.
Councilmember Rubel,
Yes.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Councilmember Chapman.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-13 is approved on the second reading. Council, I'd entertain a motion to suspend the reading on the third reading.
I make a motion.
We have a motion to suspend the rule on third reading. We have a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yeah.
We have one opposed. Mr. Brook? I entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2023-13.
I make a motion.
We have a motion to approve
Second.
and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hefner,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooke,
No.
Councilmember Rubel,
Yes.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Chapman,
Yes.
and Councilmember McMinn.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-13 is approved. Council, I'd entertain a motion to approve with the emergency clause. Need a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Roll call, please, for the emergency clause.
Councilmember Brooke,
No.
Councilmember Rubel,
Yes.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Chapman,
Yes.
Councilmember McMinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Hefner.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-13 is approved, and with the emergency clause, will go into effect upon publication and proper posting. Thank you, council. Next on the agenda is ordinance 2023-14. Read the title, please.
An ordinance to define loud and unnecessary noise that constitutes a public nuisance to the citizens of Ward, Arkansas, establishing prohibition and penalties with respect thereto, repealing and replacing Ward Ordinance 2001-04, and for other purposes.
Council, this was brought back to the table at the request of Councilmember Rubel. You have the floor, sir. Would you like to speak?
Really, but I understand the need for a noise ordinance. There's just a few things in there that I was, that kind of caused me to want to have discussions about it. I
Chief?
don't believe the time period for lawnmowers should be in there. I think you've got a problem with your neighbor mowing his yard, you can go talk to him. It's hot during the summer, people still work on Saturdays, if they wanna mow their yard at 6:30 in the morning, and your neighbor has a problem, well, they go talk to you later.
I wish it was that easy. I wish it was that easy, but I mean, it's obviously, we can, just like we did before, we can change times. And I don't know if we've ever had any, I don't know.
Yeah, not so much lawnmower, but we've dealt with the dance music off and on.
Well, lawnmowers is directly at, is a point. I mean, lawnmowers, garden tractors, and similar home power tools, when properly muffled between hours of 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. I think that's reasonable. I think if you mow at 6:30, if they call the cops, you're right. Why can't you just go talk to your neighbor? Which would you encourage? If they call the law enforcement on them, different story, but.
Yeah, because it's daylight at 6 a.m.
Right, but usually the grass is still
No.
very wet. It's arbitrary,
It is.
And you're a law enforcement officer, it's,
And I know people call about stuff that they shouldn't all the time. That was the main thing.
Was your other question?
in there that I had an issue with.
are you okay with the way it is?
I don't think everybody in the city is running around mowing their yard before 7 o'clock, so.
No.
I guess it's really kind of arbitrary, but I would just hope that that's not something that we would ticket for.
I wouldn't think unless it, as you would know, get really egregious and argumentative, and then it's a different story, but.
Changes the whole.
Yeah, it changes the whole dynamics of everything, but, you gotta set a time if we're gonna do this.
I would have voted for it last time it came up, but I apologize, I didn't have the copy of it.
That's fine.
And so I was supportive of it before, after
Any other comments?
Chief, what time of day do you have the most noise complaints?
Yes. I'm serious. I get noise complaints at noon because a guy 2 doors down playing his radio too loud. I get that at 5 o'clock in the morning. You know, you get it at 7, 8 o'clock at night. I get complaints, folks going through neighborhoods revving up these loud trucks.
What was the 50 feet? That just seems relatively, what is the, there's
That's for the car
ordinance already
radios.
For car radios. Is it
That's
50
the only
feet?
noise ordinance we have currently.
And it's 50 feet from the vehicle?
If I can hear it 50 feet from the vehicle, it's
But I don't-
plainly, it's too loud.
I didn't think this one specifically said 50 feet from a vehicle.
It does.
It said 50 feet from anything. Like playing radio in your backyard, 50 feet there, you know.
Yeah, that's B.
Gets in Article 6, prohibited noise. Any public property, including public right-of-way, highway, building, sidewalk, park, or thoroughfare, if the sound generated is clearly audible at a distance of 50 feet from its source. B is any motor vehicle within or on a public right-of-way, highway, or public space, the sound generated at audible distance of 50 feet from the device producing the sound. So there is a separate for motor vehicle if you want to change the A to some other distance. And I will tell you that part of this was brought on because I've been asked several times over my now 5 years about noise ordinances, brought it up to council a few times. We recently had an individual in town who is running a aerobics class out of her house, out of her garage. Just a bunch of ladies getting together, but they were doing it at 5 o'clock in the morning with loudspeakers. We really didn't have anything in place to combat it, other than, I guess, disturbing the peace, but that's a criminal, and that gets, this is just a violation of the ordinance, which, as y'all know, is not as bad.
The only thing that I fear with this, and I mean, everybody in the room knows I'm a cop as well, but,
Turn your mic on and lean forward, please.
is that some of this can be, I mean, like this 50-foot law, I could see where that could be abused. I mean, like me and Casey were talking earlier about the 50-foot thing, which, you know, anyway, we were here. If your kid is out there playing and he's bouncing basketball off the backboard of his, you know, his basketball goal, you can hear that way on 50 feet. So the guy across the street, he's getting annoyed that the kid's playing basketball out there and he don't want to hear it. He can call the police and they come over and they've got to make the kid stop because it violates this ordinance. That's my problem with that 50-foot law.
What would you recommend? I mean, there's got to be an arbitrary.
I really don't have a recommendation on this.
You know, it might be something to consider if you want to try to figure out to put a decimal level on it.
We'd have to buy a decimal meter.
You got
Train our officers in using them.
Be saying like the air compressor, someone has air compressor in their garage. Well, their garage is gonna echo, make it louder.
I understand the car radio, absolutely. 50 feet from your car, great. You listen to whatever you want to. I don't want to listen to what you're listening to.
Well,
I get that, but.
And I'm not even, from my perspective, I'm not even out there to stop somebody's
Right.
gathering in their backyard. But by the same token, the guy 2 houses down have to listen to it.
With 2 houses down, a little bit more than 50 feet. But, I don't know, I don't have a recommendation on a distance. I just think that specific one is.
Both of you are, go ahead.
I'm gonna say my house is 50 feet from the house.
My subdivision's a little closer.
Mike. All right.
Would you think changing it to 75 or 100 feet might be
I think the decibel thing would, I mean, I don't know what decibel anything is, but I think the decibel would probably be a better option.
Then you get into, and we'll read about this in the.
I mean, what's a lawnmower?
The data mining ordinance has decibels in it by municipal league. And you got to get almost professional engineers to determine that. I think a distance works out better, and then all the different, research I've done on this, that's what, all I'm saying. And you get in decibel reading, you got somebody that's got to learn how to use it, and then potentially, if I'm not mistaken, go to court and testify that they know how to use it.
Was the data mining going to be by decibel?
It is, but it's
Well,
on
then you're going to have trained people doing it then, right?
engineers, it talks about in that particular ordinance. Different, totally different.
I don't know what the answer is. I just don't think that's the right one.
Chief, got a question. Section 4, loud and unnecessary noise prohibited. There's a lot of room for officer discretion here. Is there going to be are you going to establish some sort of standard?
Well, kind of like y'all are having problems with the distance, what's gonna be a standard? I mean, what's annoying to me may not bother you. I don't have the answers. The main things we deal with are people turning their stereos up too loud at the house, people blasting their music out of their cars. You get some of these guys that run these exhaust systems in the truck going through neighborhoods, revving them up. Motorcycles doing the same thing. I can't sit here and give you a definitive answer on how to substantiate all that.
Let me,
But those are the problems we are having.
let me also, go ahead.
We do have an ordinance for disturbing the peace already, correct?
That's state law. But it's very vague too. Very vague.
I understand, but I think maybe something that might be more look into than, this seems to me that it's more house-based than it is mobile-based, as far as that type of stuff goes. The certain piece is more mobile-based. A car goes down the road or whatnot, doing the car exhaust or whatever.
Disturbing the peace was more developed for you standing out in your front yard screaming and hollering and cussing and creating alarm amongst your neighbors. It really wasn't designed to deal with cars and radios.
Let me also tell you that this ordinance, if passed, ties into an ordinance coming up, also the short-term rental, once we have the public hearing on it. One of the main things, if you've been reading about short-term rentals or hearing about on TV, that's one of the biggest complaints, is the noise out of the short-term rentals. They have parties, and if we don't have noise ordinance in place, we have nothing to shut them down on that. So this ties into that also. 50 feet is what, probably another standard lot size away? Roughly? 70 feet from house to house?
This room's roughly 100 foot long.
100 foot's fine. If somebody want to make that motion, we'll change it to 100.
Make a motion, we change it to 100 feet.
A motion to change the, where was that at? Section 6A from 50 to 100. To read, any public property, including any public right-of-way, highway, building, sidewalk, park, or thoroughfare, if the sound generated is clearly audible at a distance over 100 feet from its source. Motor vehicles in paragraph B will still stay at 50.
It's also Article 3, prima facie evidence. Above described noise sources that said noises could be heard at a distance of over 50 feet. I'd like to change that to 100 feet.
Let me find that. What
Section,
there it is.
Article.
Yeah, Article 3 is one I saw.
Yeah. We'll have to reword that to distinguish between the 100-foot and 50-foot, 100-foot from sources other than motor vehicle, which we can reword that.
I think this is probably, Chief could tell us, it's going to be like the curfew thing. He's not out here trying to give everybody a ticket. We just need to be able to.
And if I'm not
keep
mistaken,
things
it's
calm.
normally complaint responsive.
Yes, I don't go out there looking for it, it's just when the complaints come.
But the problem is it's not a
Is your mic
problem
on?
now because there's not an ordinance.
But
As soon as somebody knows that it's the law, then
Well, again, I've been asking about this several times. Motion's on the table to change 100 foot from from 50, and then also we'll have to rework the Article 3 to incorporate the 2, which is not a problem. Did I get a second on that? Okay, we got a second now. Roll call, please, on that change.
Councilmember Rubel?
Yes.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember McMahon?
Yes.
Councilmember Hefner?
Yes.
And Councilmember Brooke?
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes to make that change. With that, I'd entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2023-14 on its first reading.
I would like to see quiet hours changed to 5 a.m.
Stepping back, let's see what we're doing. Quiet hours.
for the residential, because, I mean, people are leaving it now that, with the curfew.
Mm-hmm. So make both A1 and 2, 5 a.m.?
Yes.
That makes sense. Okay, do we have a motion from Robin to change that to 5 a.m.? Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Chapman,
Yes.
Councilmember McMahon,
Yes.
Councilmember Hefner,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooke,
Yes.
and Councilmember Rubel.
Yes.
That includes B, commercial and industrial too, so it's all the same. All right, now I would entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2023-14 on its first reading.
I make the motion.
I still went to no more.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval on the first reading. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Chapman,
Yes.
Councilmember McMahon,
Yes.
Councilmember Hefner,
No.
Councilmember Brooke,
Yes.
Councilmember Rubel,
Yes.
and Councilmember Hall.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-14 is approved on its first reading. Council, I don't see a need to rush this through. Let's just carry it over next month for a second reading. Unless somebody objects and wants to make a motion. Hearing none, we'll carry it over next month. Next on the agenda is ordinance 2023-16. Read the title, please.
An ordinance by the City of Ward, Arkansas, calling for the annexation of certain lands that are completely surrounded by the incorporated limits of the City of Ward, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
And forgive me, those of you in the audience, I've been forgetting to ask if you had any input to any of this previous. Have you?
Oh, I do, but I'll wait for the second. Let's just say there are knuckleheads out there, and we do
Okay.
have something out there. People just, look how people drive on interstate.
All right, I apologize, and come next month, and I'll remember to give you a chance to talk. All right, with that in mind, Council, this ordinance puts into place the annexation that we had a public hearing on tonight. We have any discussion on that? Public discussion? Okay, you said your piece, right? Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we approve the annexation.
We have a motion and a second to approve on its first reading. We have a second, sorry. I got ahead of myself. Roll call, please.
Councilmember McMahon,
Yes.
Councilmember Hefner,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooke,
Yes.
Councilmember Rubel,
Yes.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
and Councilmember Chapman.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-16 is approved on its first reading. Council to entertain a motion to suspend the rules on a second and third reading.
Motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2023-16.
Motion.
We have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hefner,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooke,
Yes.
Councilmember Rubel,
Yes.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Chapman,
Yes.
and Councilmember McMahon.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-16 is approved. Council to entertain a motion to invoke the emergency clause.
Motion.
Motion for a second? And a
Second.
second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Brooke,
Yes.
Councilmember Rubel, Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Chapman,
Yes.
Councilmember McMahon,
Yes.
and Councilmember Hefner.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-16 has been approved with the emergency clause that become effective 30 days after being posted properly. Next on the agenda is ordinance 2023-17. Please read the title.
An emergency ordinance adopting certain rules and regulations concerning external noise attenuation of data centers and to prevent noise disturbance in the city of Ward, Arkansas, to declare an emergency and for other purposes.
Council, this ordinance is a what-if ordinance. It's not something we really have to have right now because we don't have a data center, or better yet, a data mining center in Ward. But if you watch the news, you've seen the problems going on in Bologna, Bono, and other places. The state legislation passed a law that goes into effect 1 August that will prevent us from doing this type of ordinance after 1 August. So the Arkansas Municipal League, in conjunction with the Arkansas Associated Counties, has developed this ordinance for everybody to pass by emergency this month to get ahead of it. In particular, the noise portion of it. If you haven't had a chance or listen or know what data mining is, crypto data mining. I read about it. I still don't know about it. Do you know about it? Can you explain it? Anybody? I cannot explain it.
Sounds like that.
No, it's huge. The biggest thing, Mr. Lacy.
Y'all may or may not know, my wife's an administrator in Bologna, so I get to hear about this
Oh,
quite a bit.
okay. This works out great.
And we have discussed, you can data mine from your house or your laptop, but it's not fast enough and it's not strong enough to do it on a basis to where, my understanding is you have to get extremely lucky to catch these algorithms just right. The way you can do it and be successful at it is you have supercomputers. This room will be full of them, and they make a lot of racket. They make a hum, and it's very, very loud, and you can hear it outside the building. So the people in Bologna are complaining that they're hearing this constant drumming, this hum, right? And I don't know if they put it in an industrial area, they should have.
They
but,
have to,
You
but-
know, I don't know about Bologna's zoning and where it is, but anyway, that's the complaint. And I didn't understand it at first either, so I was like, this doesn't make any sense. But they feel, a lot of times they put them in like shipping containers.
They do.
It might not even be in a brick and mortar building. It could be in a shipping container, be in a trailer or whatever. And of course, when you put them in things like that, you hear even more of it rather than inside an insulated building. So it apparently drives people crazy listening to it.
It is very, very loud. There's two different ways, my understanding. One is air-cooled or fan-cooled. That's noise. Takes a tremendous amount of electricity. They're normally placed near substations. We don't have a substation in our city or near our city. That helps. That's why this probably doesn't affect us, but it's a if needed thing. The other way is water-cooled, and they take a tremendous amount of water to do that. I mean, just a bunch. And yes, you would gain, if it's inside your city limits, you would gain, or inside our water district, we would gain franchise fees from the water usage, but again, it's going to take a tremendous amount of water. And it doesn't employ anybody.
No.
One or two people to run these
It
these
doesn't, and they
computers.
typically don't stay long. So far, what they're seeing is they're in and out. They'll move this trailer or something in, they'll run it for a while, and then for whatever reason, I don't know if it's a taxation issue or whatever, but they move on. But they drive people crazy while they're there, for sure.
I have been in contact with the county judge, and they're passing an emergency ordinance this month also. I've been in contact with First Electric about where our potential substation is, how close it is to us. It's not that close to us, but still, this is a what-if ordinance.
And what we do know is after August 1st, you can't pass this.
Yeah, after August 1st, like I said, Municipal League and Association of Arkansas Counties have teamed up to fight this. So, any comment? Or are you just as confused as the rest of us? Any public comment? Yes. Can you explain any more by reading on it?
Yeah, well, it says in Greenbrier that they have them there, and it's because the fans needed to keep the hardware cool. And they say they run 24/7, staying on even at night. They say they hear the ringing fan noise in every part of their house, from outdoor pool and everything else. That was in June 29,
Right.
so just recently.
I mean, a couple said Greenbrier, and I don't think Bologna actually ended up putting theirs in. They voted it down finally, but others had put them in, thinking it was a moneymaker. No. Yes, sir.
Well, I don't personally want to hear it all the time, and I'm sure none of my neighbors do, so I'm gonna make a motion to approve it.
We have a motion to approve ordinance 2023-17 on its first reading. We have a second,
Second?
and we have a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Rubel,
Yes.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Chapman,
Yes.
Councilmember McMahon,
Yes.
Councilmember Hefner,
Yes.
and Councilmember Brooke.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-17 is approved on its first reading. Council, I'd entertain a motion to suspend the rules on the second and third reading.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second. One of those in order.
Trying to throw me off.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Council, I'd approve, or I'd entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2023-17.
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Chapman,
Yes.
Councilmember McMahon,
Yes.
Councilmember Hefner,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooke,
Yes.
and Councilmember Rubel.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-17 is approved. Council, I'd entertain a motion to enact the emergency clause.
Motion.
We have a motion. We have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Chapman,
Yes.
Councilmember McMahon,
Yes.
Councilmember Hefner,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooke,
Yes.
Councilmember Rubel,
Yes.
and Councilmember Hall.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-17 is approved with the emergency clause, and it too will go into effect in 30 days. No, it goes into effect immediately, excuse me, it's with posting. Next on the agenda is ordinance 2023-18.
I make a motion, we approve ordinance 2023-18,
Do you mind if she reads the title first?
if she wants.
Please read the title first.
An ordinance authorizing the awarding of an individual ward police officer's service weapon upon retirement or death and for other purposes.
Any discussion?
I have a little bit.
Okay, Chief, you want to come up to you, mate?
I only have one question on this. Sure. On here, it says that when giving it to a spouse of a surviving spouse, that the gun will be made inoperable. Why?
We had this discussion. Here's my thought, and this is me. My thought was, if the individual was killed in the line of duty, and she becomes, or family member becomes distraught, and takes the member's service weapon and does harm to themselves or somebody else, do we want that liability? That's my thought.
I don't see, because we have to, it says in here that they sign over saying that they take ownership of it and all that jazz. I look at this the other side, I've got to, if it happens to me and my wife takes my service weapon and say my son wants it as a hand down, or one of my 3 daughters wants it, what would they do with an inoperable gun?
Ceremonial.
You know,
And that's me. Chief and I had a discussion about that. That was my input on that.
I don't agree with it. I'm making it inoperable for a surviving spouse.
My thinking's along the same line as Rob's.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it's a necessary step.
I'm 100% for this. Other than that, I don't think we need to make them inoperable.
I'd like to make a motion that we take that part out.
Okay, we've got a motion to remove section 2B. We have a motion second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember McMahon,
Yes.
Councilmember Hefner,
Am I voting to strike it, or am I
Yes, voting to
leave
strike it.
No.
Just that upon death, just the section B.
Correct. No, I think it needs to be inoperable.
Okay.
Councilmember Brooke,
Yes.
Councilmember Rubel,
Yes.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Chapman.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. That will be stricken from the ordinance. Any further discussion on the ordinance?
I think it's a great ordinance. It's, I've been carrying mine for 8 years, and it ain't worth much because it's all beat up and scraped up and everything else, but I've seen a few guys get theirs when they retire, and it's quite an honor. And so I'm fully supportive.
With that, I entertain a motion to put ordinance 2023-18 up for first reading.
Motion.
We have motion second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hefner,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooke,
Yes.
Councilmember Rubel,
Yes.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Chapman,
Yes.
and Councilmember McMahon.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-18 is approved on its first reading. I'd entertain a motion to suspend the rules for second and third.
Motion.
We have a motion to suspend the rules,
Second.
and we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Is this, no, this is with the Parks.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to suspend the rules. Now we're going to motion to adopt ordinance 2023-18.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Brooke,
Yes.
Councilmember Rubel,
Yes.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Chapman,
Yes.
Councilmember McMahon,
Yes.
Councilmember Hefner.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-18 is approved. I don't think there's a need for an emergency clause in here. I don't think there's anybody retiring anytime soon. And if something drastic happens between the next 30 days, we'll come back to council and make this happen. Okay. Next on the agenda is Resolution 2023-18. Read title, please.
A resolution authorizing the purchase of 9 new Lenovo ThinkPad laptops from Pure Computer Solutions for police department vehicles.
Chief?
Not much to say, by 2025, everybody in the state's mandated to use eSight and eCrash. We've already been doing it. When we purchased our current computers that are in the cars, they were used but refurbished, and we've had them 3.5 years now. They're starting to die. Technology, the minute you buy it's outdated, but those were outdated when we bought them badly. They served their purpose. But it's time to get new equipment in there that's not breaking. I had one go down last week.
What's the warranty on these? The new ones?
Ma'am, I had no idea, didn't ask the question.
Are these Chief, are these the tough cases, or they
Yes.
just, so they're not just regular laptops? Because we tried that
Correct.
early on and just beat them to death.
Yeah.
So these are the tough ones. Yeah, that's good.
Mayor, is this the same company that does the city?
Yes. Yeah, we try to buy all our computers so it's all compatible. They service them the whole 9 yards.
Do you know what the warranty may be on this?
No, again,
I did not.
I'm sure it's a manufacturer warranty, whatever that happens to be.
Well, that's one question I didn't
Well,
ask.
whenever I purchase Dells, I always buy a 5-year because I don't want to fix them. So I buy a 5-year, and I can get the laptop that cheap with Dell with a 5-year warranty, so.
Well, I know he shopped several brands. As he said, the tough case, because they do get abused riding in those cars.
Here's the thing, you've got to have the tough cases. You can't just put the problem we had at BB with just the regular Dell laptops, because that's what we actually had was all Dells. The jarring and stuff, they're not made for that.
Well, no,
So-
I was just curious about the warranty.
And I'm not sure if an extended warranty would apply to a police vehicle because of the use.
A tough case may.
It may, I'm not sure, but they get a tough case anyway, so.
Chief, that they offer IT service after the sale?
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's who the city uses.
We have a contract with this company in
He's-
Cabot.
Yes, he's worked on my current one several times.
Maybe put it into the warranty.
I'd make a motion if you're ready.
I'm ready for a motion to approve Resolution 2023-18.
I'm ready for a second.
And we have a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Rubel,
Yes.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Chapman,
Yes.
Councilmember McMahon,
Yes.
Councilmember Hefner,
Yes.
and Councilmember Brooke.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-18 is approved. Thank you, council. Next on the agenda is Resolution 2023-19. Please read that title.
A resolution authorizing the mayor and/or city clerk to move funds from various checking accounts and depositing same into 6-month and 12-month certificates of deposit or interest-bearing accounts at Bank OZK.
Council, if you remember, last month you gave permission, to working with the CPA and HR Finance Director, to move monies to CDs to get out of non-interest-bearing or low-interest-bearing accounts, and we did that. You've also been provided by Courtney a listing of estimated interest, and as you see, we'll make pretty good interest, which is much better than what we were making before, much.
So I make a motion.
A
that we
motion to
save money.
approve Resolution
Yes.
2023-19. And we have a
Save
second.
money. Save money. Make money.
Do we have a second? Okay, cool. We have a motion second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Councilmember Chapman,
Yes.
Councilmember McMahon,
Yes.
Councilmember Hefner,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooke,
Yes.
and Councilmember Rubel.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-19 is approved. Thank you, council. Next on the agenda, we're on a downhill slide, guys. Next on the agenda is Resolution 2023-20. Read the title, please.
A resolution expressing the willingness of the city of Ward, Arkansas to utilize federal aid transportation program funds.
Council, this is a call for, I told you about this last month, a call for projects from Metro Plan. This particular call for projects, the Surface Transportation Block Grant, doesn't include city streets and things like that, so we can't go out and get that. I tried to get Markham approved for curb and guttering and complete redo, and it's not type of street under the federal street system. But under the carbon reduction program, there was a line item about replacing all streetlights with energy efficient streetlights. I'd like permission to go forward with this, working with First Electric on this. If this works out, then the cost to replace all the lighting in the city to LED would be shared by 80% federal, 10% First Electric, and 10% by us. But Metro Plan honestly doesn't know if this is going to work at all. This is something, this program is new to them, and they weren't exactly prepared for me to come up with this idea. So this I may not put this through, but I have to have a resolution to authorize me to go forward in order to do that. But that's what we're working on right now. Any comment, questions?
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve Resolution 2023-20. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Chapman,
Not really.
Yes.
oh, there's
Do
three.
you have a
of
question? Let's suspend the voting for a moment. Do you have a question?
I was just gonna ask what the municipal was, in Metro Plan, why they didn't think it was gonna work? If it's federal money, where,
On their process to, this carbon reduction program is a new process. They weren't exactly, their transportation. Metro Plan is the regional transportation hub for grants and planning and all that. This is a new program. They're looking in on it right now, but it'll go in as an alternative program, potentially. And there's also a question whether or not we can even use federal money with First Electric, which is a private organization, or co-op, and our funds. There's questions we still need to get asked. I don't have the answers to them tonight. In conversation with Casey, the executive director for Metro Plan today, about this, and they were still hashing it out, figuring out if this was going to work. And even at that, if we put it in, it's a competitive process. We may not get it anyway, because there's only, in this talk, but there's $1.4 million in the carbon reduction program that's available. We may not even get it anyway.
Solar panels with electric, federal money, so it shouldn't pass.
So, okay. You're good? All right, so we're back to voting. We have, who's voted?
Councilmember Chapman.
I voted yes.
Okay, you still staying with yes? Okay, continue on, please. Just making sure.
Councilmember McMahon,
Yes.
Councilmember Hefner,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooke,
Yes.
Councilmember Rubel,
Yes.
and Councilmember Hall.
Yes.
Resolution 2020-23-20 is approved. Thank you, council. Next on the agenda is my mayor's report. Very quickly, the construction projects, we're waiting for RDOT to get permission for the SARTS 4 project to solicit bids. The meter replacement project is continuing on, getting equipment in slowly. RDOT TAP grant, the SARTS 5 proposed, that project has been submitted to RDOT by Half Engineering. The Arkansas Economic Development Council grant proposal to remove the remaining homes off of vacuum system is waiting AEDC's decision. Again, RDOT has two different projects in our area, Highway 319 and 38, from Highway 38 to 367 Peyton Street. Should be done late summer, early fall, complete resurfacing and adding 2-foot shoulders. And then Highway 38 from Highway 38 from 367 to Des Arc should be bid opening this coming summer, and that'll be done in the next 2 years. We just talked about the Metro Plan Golf project. Street aid submittal, if you remember some time ago, we put in a letter to Street Aid to overlay, potentially overlay Markham from 367 to the railroad track, Owen Street, and North Street. RDOT Street Aid did come out and do a site visit, and I will tell you, when they come out and do a site visit, that's pretty much, it's a done deal. Their recommendation is overlay Markham from 367 all the way to Brewer, which works out. I'm fine with that. And Owen Street in that same package. And then if there's enough money, there's a $300,000 package for each city. If there's still money left, we may look at North Street, and if there's still money left, we may look at additional streets, and may come back to council and say, we got X amount of streets, for this amount extra, we can get these streets done, and it's all under that package. RDOT does all the construction engineering and everything. The only thing we're responsible for is right-of-way access. If there's any problem, there shouldn't be on city streets, shouldn't be, and any utility movements. And again, there should not be a problem because these are existing city streets already. So that will go for the committee in December, and then we should know something in early January at the winter conference for AMR Municipal League is when that is normally announced. The UDL, like I said earlier, we've made these changes. We've sent to Metro Plan for their input. We're still waiting for the RDOT permit to get approved for the license plate reader cameras. Consolidated 911 Center, we still have not had any meeting about this, and that's going to be a problem later on. Broadband deployment is still continuing. I did submit the paperwork for the wastewater rate study. I did talk to Arkansas Rural Water. There's 20 entities in front of us, so it'll be a while before they get around to doing ours, and we'll find out what that is later on. The storm cleanup, like I talked about earlier, we did pick up 731 tons approximately from 122 locations. We are continuing to pick up this week. Some stragglers that we just didn't get to last week. The hazmat shredding event. We only served about 47 people, and it cost us $3,500, $3,000 for this hazmat, $500 for shredding. In looking back, Courtney and I looked back today, the event in 2021, 8 hours for hazmat at the regular spring cleanup was about $5,000. It's more cost effective. We just wait and do it with instead of having 3 hours on another Saturday, just included in the cleanup, and just pay the extra because it works out better. But not every year. So we did in 2021, we did in 2023, we'll do it again in 2025. And then I think you all have gotten an email from me about the Lonoc White Public Water Authority's annual board meeting and lunch. If you want to go, please let me know so we can get you on the list. There is a tour of the facility at 10:30. And if you've never been up there and toured the intake site and the treatment site, it is amazing. It is $50-some odd million worth of stuff going on up there, but it's amazing how they pull the water in and treat it and all that, and how it goes out to all of us. Let me know if you want to go. Like I said, it's an excellent, pardon me?
I said don't wear a dress.
Yeah, don't wear a dress, because it's
Elevated, isn't it?
it's elevated and a catwalk, and just wear pants. Just take her word for it. So, Anyway, that is, the 4th of July. We kind of talked about it a little bit before the meeting, just in general, but it was a great showing. I appreciate Michelle, our Parks and Recreation Director, did an absolutely fantastic job getting out together. All the volunteers, the water, wastewater, street guys, and others. We had more vendors we had more food trucks than we've ever had. We did hot dogs only this year, which actually worked out much, much better for us. We had one mechanical ride, and it was just jam-packed if you were there. We anticipate having more next year and going larger and using the same commercial company next year. So, any comments on that?
More water slides.
More water slides? Gotta have more people to man them then. And that is my report for today. Did we have anybody sign up for a public comment? Hearing none?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
And I know we're all tired, but I just, the sidewalk thing keeps coming up in my mind. And we talked about trying to cross the railroad tracks area. I think you said that they wouldn't allow us to get access that way. I went over to Mbebe at the cross there. The sidewalk goes up within 12 foot, and then it does a little L right out onto the road, and on the other side it does a little L and comes right back on. So I'm not sure why they wouldn't allow us to do that.
I would venture to guess that it's federal monies and state monies. Beebe may have done that on their own.
Maybe so.
And we could do that on our own to create a sidewalk that is compatible with the others and ADA, all that kind of good stuff. But I think using state or federal money that's the issue.
It may be.
And
I know that it's very, it's very active there.
Is that new, or has that been there for a long time?
Oh, no, it's been there probably 20 years. I don't know.
And I bet it was before some of the rules are engaged now. And I don't know for sure. It's probably grandfathered, you're correct, but getting railroad approval to build something like that on their right-of-way might be problematic.
How far does their right-of-way go? Do you know?
Like 50 or 100 foot, it's a ways. Right.
So 25 on each side, probably?
Probably,
Yeah.
or maybe 50 on each side, I tell you the truth. I don't really know, but I know that they're very, just like I'll be honest, the traffic light we have right now is still under state authority to get fixed, like that swinging lamp that's still unfixed, but it's theirs because the railroad side has not approved the project, the completion of it. So it's still being managed and warranted by the state, which I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Until they turn it over to me, I don't have to mess with it.
Right.
Same thing, railroad, they work very slow.
Yeah.
Very, very slow. I mean, it's something we can look into, but I bet it requires us to use our own monies to do that.
Okay.
Is that right? Okay. Announcements. Where are we at? Announcements. Public hearings, like we talked about earlier, public hearing for rezoning at 6 p.m. on the 24th, short-term rentals at 6:30, planning commission at 7 p.m. Ward Community Blood Drive. This is our first, we think, August 2nd. It says August 1st right here, but it's actually August 2nd, 10 to 2 at City Hall. Cabot Public Schools began August 15th. I'll have my virtual town hall meeting on August 24th, and our next city council meeting is August 21st. We have nothing else before this board. I'd entertain a motion to dismiss. We have motion second. All those in favor, get up and leave. Thank you very much. Thank you for everybody who attended.